Hafade, my name is Napu, and today we're going to do a math problem. Alright, so here's today's math problem, and it's a very long problem, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's just about like interest and stuff, and so if you want to read the problem, go ahead and pause the video, but I'm just going to move on and solve this. So the first part of the problem wants us to fill out the rest of this table, and there's only 3 spots we need to fill out. And as we can see with this first row right here, it seems to be multiplying by g at the end of each summer. So we're just gonna multiply this first part by g, 1000 times g, which is 1000g. And then next, we're going to multiply that by g for the next column. So 1000g times g is 1000g squared. And then we're going to multiply 1000 times g again. So that fills out the table, and then moving on to section B. Section B just wants us to write it as a function, or like a polynomial, and at the end of the 4th summer. So we're just going to circle this whole column right here, and we're going to add all these terms together to create this function right here, function of g. And that's problem B. Now problem C wants us to find the interest rate, which is equal to g minus 1. So in order to find r first, we need to find g. So let's do that. Using the rational zero theorem, we're going to try to find the zeros of this equation. And we're going to set it to 5,300. The actual problem sets it to 4,300, but I'm not allowed to give you the exact answers, so I'm just setting it to 5,300 instead. So naturally we're going to subtract 5,300 from each side, because in order to get it to standard form we need to equate one side to 0. And so we're left with this, which is a polynomial in standard form. So next up we're going to take the constant term here, and we are going to find its factors, because finding its factors will allow us to properly guess. It'll give us a selection pool from which we could guess the zeros. And so it's a big number, so I'm just going to use Google to look up how many factors there are. Alright, so let's just type this in, and wow, that's a lot of factors. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Wow, okay. We are going to have a rough time here. And I'm saying that because not only do we have a big selection pool of 17 factors, but we have to take into account both the positive and the negative versions of those factors, because these numbers, if you take two negative versions of these, they'll still amount to the positive version of that number that we have. And furthermore, we have to divide that by all of the factors of the leading coefficient. The leading coefficient is 1000. And 1000 has 16 factors, which is another big amount. And we have to take in the positive and negative versions of those factors as well. So as you can see, we have quite a big amount of numbers here. So what we're going to do is what any rational, sane person with common sense would do in this situation. We're going to guess and check every single one of them. Alright, so we're just going to type in our equation on Desmos. And it's changing the graph. And then we're going to equate it to 0 and zoom in to see what our answer is. And we have to remember that we're looking for the interest rate, not the growth. So we have the growth, but we just subtract it. We just subtract 1 from it and we get the interest rate, because it states that the interest rate plus 1 is equal to the growth. So we have our answer. It's somewhere between 1.91 and 0.191 and 0.1915, and that should be our answer.